Holy cow, did the markets dump today? We need to talk about it. I am Dr. Stock, Doctor of Education, and if you have really stick-like arms, you're cold all the time, and everything smells like carrots, you might just be a snowman. All right, we're going to take a look at the indices, and I'm also going to tell you about some of the plays that I've been following, and I will tell you how they worked out. I cashed in on them today. I'll tell you about those results, and then also in this video, I'll tell you about the Patreon, where you can see my buys and sells for how I'm playing this market, also my options course that's available over there as well, and then about the free stocks from Moomoo. In the meantime, we'll get right into the charts. We're going to start with SPY, then we're going to get into QQQ from there. So, popping this up, tracking the S&P 500, and man, oh man, look at that drop that we had today, and on decent volume too. So it is possible that the markets aren't done settling yet. 2 o'clock hour hit, and man, oh man, like it just ripped down. So far, I've yet to find that specific catalyst that's there. We'll also take a look at US 10Y, which is following the US 10-year Treasury yield, and I'll show you something interesting with that might have a little bit to do with it. So we'll just have to take a look, and we're going to have to see, and then we'll talk about potentially what we could see at some point in time in the future. And so let's actually go down from the daily chart. Let's drill down on this to the minute chart so that you can see what it was I was talking about. Look at that. As a matter of fact, let's go out a little bit more so we can see the sort of day that we had. And we actually had, it was a decent day. It started off pretty well. And it had a little peak in the middle here and then started selling off and then really sold off. And I even took I had a small day trade in here as well. And I didn't really have a whole lot of time to mess with. Actually, it was on the Qs that I did that one with the 0 DTE options following the bread recipe. And I'll tell you what, if this was something that I actually had time to play out and to watch out, I got in right about here when we dropped down below VWAP on this one. Played that little bit of a drop that we had. I think that was around that time that was in there. And it was a quick, I'm going to have to look. Let me think for just a quick moment. Here's a quick like 30-ish% or so of my money that I made during that time, which is pretty cool. But find the bread recipe that I would have likely gotten in around here again. And back at then, I was using, I think, the 409 or even the 408 0 DTE options and riding this thing all the way down until we got confirmation of closing this thing, or even possibly, I mean, yeah, there were significant warning shots through here, but watching for where that 5 starts to close back in on the 13th. So maybe here, maybe over there where we actually get that cross, that would have been, like, I'm not even kidding here, like a 10 to 20x gain on my money. So I'm talking like 10 grand worth of cash in that amount of time just to watch that go from 2 o'clock until we got to about the 3 o'clock hour. So 1 hour's worth of time for $5, $10, $15,000 worth of my money. So I don't have the hard numbers here in front of me, but I'm telling you, the bread recipe, it does work. And if you're in it in the right moments, man, it can work out big for you. And it also helps to keep your losses small. If you don't know what the bread recipe is, well, check out Stockmo's videos. He has a link to his course, and I'll be adding to that very soon. I'm pretty excited about it, and then I'll have a link for you as well. So end phase, I said, could retrace for us, and it did. Tesla was one that honestly I thought was doing all right so far. I thought I had some more momentum, but then when the market started dumping, Tesla also went with it. So this is one I did not have a position in, although I took a last minute position on this one because the market, I think, could still show us a little bit of weakness, and I think that Tesla could possibly continue down along with it. I saw what we had here forming up, which was a bearish pennant, and I wanted to get in right about here when I started seeing a breakout. It took me a little bit to get into that, and unfortunately it was at the very end of the day. So the post over to the Discord in my community that's over there, it was kind of late, doesn't give them a whole lot of time to decide, and I don't like to put out those late orders, but I did do that. I also did the same thing. Actually, I did a call option, I think about it, looking for a possible bounce, but I did it with a very near-term expiration on this one. I'm in or out tomorrow, depending on whatever we see. So if we start off rallying tomorrow, and that pushes us up over that 405 for the short term, that's very good for that option. And that was honestly, I think a $70 play. So $70 is all I have on the line for that one, at the small possibility that this would have turned into a double bottom. Now you can see it didn't. What it turned into is a descending triangle that we have here, which is a continuation pattern, but we did run to the end of the day. So we don't know that that's going to fill out and validate tomorrow because, like I said, it's an intraday chart. It's a 1 minute chart. We're going to have to watch and see what happens. We do get GDP numbers tomorrow, and we want to look and see if we get those strong GDP numbers. They come out at 8:30, and we'll see if they turn this market around or if they allow it to soften a little bit further. If we get downward revisions, for example, on GDP, that it was a little bit softer than we expected. We went 4.9 up to 5.2, so we'll see if we go up again from there, which would be upward pressure for the markets, or if we get a revision down, which could be downward pressure for the markets. Coming in even, I don't know that it would be necessarily totally impactful. We could probably just stay the course of still kind of settling off a little bit in the markets. But I did show you out on the daily chart, and I've talked about this for days now, that we are significantly in that overbought territory, that there should be some settling coming along. And as scary as it looks at the minute level, when you take a look at this and see the run that we've been on, really without being checked, we had a little bit of a check going all the way back to, it looks like, early December. Our worst day was Wednesday, December the 6th. And then since that time, just ripped up again anyway. So that natural settling, absolutely expected to be in there. And I said I would hope to see it soon. So what plays did I have today? Well, one of them that I had today was a TQQQ put that I had for January the 19th. And that one paid off pretty handsomely for me. As a matter of fact, let me pull up the numbers here. I will tell you the exact strike price that I used, and I will tell you the percent profit that I took from it. So my TQQQ play that I put out there was a 20% gainer that I put out. So that was pretty cool. I bought it, I think, yesterday, cashed out today, 20% later. I talked about this one as well. I talked about Carvana, talking about this ascending wedge pattern that we had here. And I did some adjustments to it. The ascending wedge that I had drawn, there we go. It went this way, looking for where that breakout might happen for us. And man, we closed down, holy cow. Carvana closed out at 55. I think I took my profits when it was closer to $57 per share. I'd have to look to see exactly when that was, but I took 16% profit from one day to the next on Carvana as well. So two winners, and then another winner today was actually Google. And Google, look at that high wick that we have here. That is not a good thing. But I got to go to the minute chart on this one, because I did sell out of this one much earlier in the day while the stock price was still up on Google. So I sold somewhere around in this area right in here, I believe. Maybe it was a little bit before, but we saw the run up happen. We saw the crossover 140. I didn't want to get greedy, so I took my profit, and that was a 50% profit on Google. So all three options plays that I had out there that I took within this week. Honestly, I don't remember exactly what days I put those out there. I could go and check the dates, but they're all posted over at the Discord anyway, which is available through the Patreon. That link's down in the description. So all three plays that I had out, all three of those hit, and that was absolutely incredible to watch that happen, and that was really fun. So what else am I looking at here? I'm looking at BTC to see what exactly we have here for the sort of settling. And you could see, let's go, this is the 1 hour chart. Let's drop this down to the 1 minute chart just to see a little bit if it did sell off with the market. So if we go all the way back to the 2 o'clock hour, you can actually see where it hits, and it did sell off in the market. It actually bounced back up and recovered a little bit. So we'll see if that bounce continues. We are currently just under, let me see what that number is. I think it's getting time for bifocals for me here. 43,678. So about $43.7 thousand per Bitcoin is what we're looking at. And we'll see if we catch that as resistance, or if we get to use it as support. And right now the momentum is looking pretty decent for us. So we'll see if we continue that move upward. If the market does a move to safety, a flight to safety instead of more of a risk on or even a cash deployment mode, then that could be something that would really pinch off the momentum that we have for Bitcoin. So it's most definitely something to watch for. And also we had a bit of a double top in here, which I talked about over in the Discord as well, that Bitcoin had that double top, and we could see a drop coming soon. And I think that was somewhere around in this area right here. I'd have to go back and check the timestamp. And that double top ended up playing out for us. And you could see that I get confirmed. What time did it get confirmed? Right around the 3 o'clock hour before we sold off some more. But you could see that, especially as we dropped under VWAP. But we are back up above it, which on an intraday level anyway. I don't know. I use it on stocks, not necessarily on crypto, but that is something that being back up above is a bullish sign. So if that technical still holds, that's a good thing. It looks like possibly what we have growing right now. There we go. Toss that trend line there and toss the trend line right there. This right here looks like a symmetric triangle, and that could be a continuation pattern, which means that it could possibly sell off more. We're going to have to watch the momentum, and that's only on the minute chart. And we know that crypto is really volatile in the first place. Watching it by the minute, unless you have something specific that you're looking for, can be pretty maddening. So if we come out and look at this, as this continuation pattern that we're looking at in this longer time frame that we have, you can see we broke out of the top of this, and we did continue in the upward direction. And I'm still looking for that 45,000. But if we don't see normal market settling, what we instead see as a flight to safety, that can be something that can penalize what we would see in the crypto market. So when I said cautiously bullish, I still remain bullish, but I am cautious about what we're seeing in the markets, because Well, there's going to be a top in there somewhere. We're going to have a significant sell somewhere. Today was easy. Today was just a slap on the wrist after all the run-ups that we had. There's got to be some profit taking in there somewhere. And so I do want to tell you about the Patreon. If you want to see how I am playing these markets, you can choose that link down in the description for the Patreon. Sign up and then get access to the Discord. You can be in with me and my community members and talk to us throughout the trading day. And you can also see my buys and sells over in that Discord as well. I also have my Tesla and NVIDIA stock price prediction and earnings projection that are available over there, and I will talk about those stocks in just a moment. And then moving over to my options course, that options course is also available in the Patreon, free to all subscribing members. And then what we have here, 15 free stocks from Moomoo. You can find that link down in the description. It's where I do most of my options trades, and then also 5.1% APY on your unused cash. All right, so enough of that. We want to get over to the charts here. So on the charts, what do we got for Tesla and NVIDIA here? So Tesla, we know that sold off for us. What does that look like on a daily basis then? So for Tesla, we are still up above these support line, or this support line that I should say, at about 245, and then we're still up above that bearish channel, so that's a good thing for us. The momentum's still bullish. We want to watch and see, should we get that cross down below 50 on the RSI on a daily basis, that can put us down into this channel. We just want to be careful with that because that could lead to further selling, and so selling from there, that put us room down to like 232, down to 230, which is about where that 200-day is actually, it looks like it's at 220. Man, I really need to get bifocals here. 227 is where that number is right now. So staying up above the 200-day is something that is bullish for us. The SMA and EMA, they're a little bit separated right now. The SMA is rocking right now at about 233. The EMA is rocking at about 239. So still watch for that resistance. Still watch for that support to hold right around that 245 level. If it does break, we're down to about 240, 238-ish, depending on where we see that support happen. And we want to see a bounce off this trend line that we have as well. For NVIDIA, been talking about cup and handle as something potentially playing out. We got the cup right here. And I'll tell you what, a little bit subtle with the handle so far, but honestly, I don't want to see anything below 480. It might happen though if that handle comes down too deep. As a matter of fact, if it comes down to about 445 and breaks through it, that would be a double top instead, and that could be something pretty painful in the near term for NVIDIA stock. So we want to watch and see how that handle comes off of this if it does turn into a cup and handle pattern. So let me go down to a lower time frame like the hour chart, and then we can see a little bit more of what's going on right now with that handle. And it looks like so far that's what we have, but we have broken that part of that right there. So maybe we could even draw another line, and we're just going to need more data at this point in time. It's hard to say without knowing, without seeing more of what happens, but NVIDIA, I said, it's in the market's hands. It's going to do whatever the market does. And if you actually go back in this video and take a look to see what the chart looked like on QQQ, it was this same formation that we have here on NVIDIA. So I remain bullish on NVIDIA. I don't know that we'll see the cup and handle. It's still what I'm looking for at this point in time. We need to see just how far the stock retraces, how much it comes back down off that 500-ish level that we saw at the top of the cup. And hopefully it doesn't penetrate too deeply from there. As a matter of fact, let me give you a price before we move on to anything else in this video. So putting this back up here, and we'll zoom in some more. And what I'm going to do is grab the Fibonacci retracement, and we're going to go from top to bottom on this thing. And what we don't want to go past, that line in the sand on this one, is actually 472. So down below 472 is going to be pretty hard to recover from that cup and handle. It can happen. We can actually drop down lower than that and still have it worked out. Now, mind you, we want to see if we do get a handle, where exactly top and bottom of that is, and then look for wherever the breakout is to the top side. And that's going to be, according to the technicals, about a $45 or $50 move. So we're going to have to watch and see if we get that playing out for us. We could most definitely still see that cup and handle. It's not broken yet. We just have to watch and see what we get from it. ExxonMobil, I've also been covering. Man, that sold off with the markets too. That oil did not do nicely. And I think that what we have with that is a little bit of confluence with what we're seeing with the bond market. So this is the minute chart. Let's actually go up to a 15-minute. There we go. This is US 10-year Treasury yields, and you can see that also has dropped down for us on a 15-minute basis. And the thing is about the dropping yields is that the dropping yields were good for us at first, but it's one of those things that it's good until they're not. And I've said this in my previous videos. I've said this over in the Discord that with the bonds, like movement into the bond market is a good thing because of how much money was out of the bond market in the first place and just how high the yields were. So money going into the bond market and bringing down the yields is a good thing. until it's not for the stock markets. And what that tipping point is, as I talked about in my previous videos, you can go back and watch them about what I have to say about Treasury yields and the market itself, is that what we see. And let me put the chart back up. It's just easier to have the visuals here, and I'll use my paintbrush here. So as the market goes up and yields come down, that's cash flowing into stock market. I'll put an S for stock market and a B for bond market. That's cash flowing in when you have them moving in opposite directions. The cash is going to both markets. And then when the stock market goes down, but the bond yields also go down, and I should put bond yields, there we go. So when you have both of them going down, that's actually more of a flight to safety. And then when you have stocks up and then you have yields up, this is typically, under normal conditions, this is actually typically where you see a risk on environment, which is very bullish for stocks and bearish for bonds, as you see the bond yields rise as they move inversely to one another. And then I'm missing one, and that would be down and up. There we go. So should the stock market move down where you have that sell-off there, and then the bond yields are increasing as well, when you have them moving in opposite directions in this way, it's the opposite of the cash going into the markets. This is that cash coming out of the markets and cash sitting on the sidelines. So that's just a crash course in interpreting what we can glean from those sort of market movements. And the most bullish thing that we can see after some more dropping in the bond yields, if that's the way that cash is going right now, and that could be commentary from the market saying like, hey, there's not really any yields that are going to be higher than what we can see for the bond market at this height of things. Let's instead put the money into the bonds and let the stock market settle a little bit, and then we'll watch cash flow back the other way. I'm still cautiously bullish on the markets, and I don't want to take away from that idea right now. I did say in my previous videos that I want to see some settling. This is the start to that market settling. We want to find out where support is going to be for the market, and then once we know where that support is, we can update our game plan to find out where we might see that next top. So that's the commentary that I have for you guys. Let me know what you think of it down in the description of this video. I'd absolutely love to hear from you. Also, check out the link for the Patreon. Join me and my community members. Talk with me directly. Talk with them. See my buys and sells through the Patreon. That link is also down in the description. And don't forget about your free stocks from Moomoo. As always, guys, I am Dr. Stock, Doctor of Education. Remember, my friends, that learning is earning, and we'll see you in the next video.